Good night everyone and welcome back to Nocturnal Corner with Bat, and today we are returning to our epic weapon showcase, and today's weapon of choice is going to be the Whirl epic autocannon. This is basically going to be the upgrade of the Tempest and the downgrade of the Cyclone. This is also going to be another autocannon. It's going to have a little bit more durability at 480. It's decent but not too great when you're starting to get up to those higher power scores. You'll notice this thing, for whatever reason, gets peeled off rather quickly, and the mass limit of this thing is actually the equivalent of the Cyclone, except the Cyclone is going to have like almost 300 more durability, so the Cyclone is going to be a little bit better that way. However, you got to take into account the Cyclone, you can't really armor it as well. It's kind of a massive target that can get hit rather easily, while this one's going to be more of a tower autocannon, meaning that you don't have to really build up to it. You can actually build a little bit lower, and you can set it right down here, and as long as you don't turn this little, see that little turning point right here where the cannon would rotate, you can actually still fire freely with no issues. This thing is also going to be only 4 energy, so you can actually house 4 of these onto your build. However, it's not recommended in my opinion, because the cooldown of this thing is actually god-awful, and you'll notice if you're playing in higher power scores or whatever and these things start to overheat, it's really bad. Like, you're waiting like a few seconds, like a few long seconds is what it feels like, so it's really, you want a cooler on this thing or something, because it really sucks. The damage is alright. The effective range, it does seem like this is an autocannon that actually can't shoot all the way down range. So for example, when you're on Sector X and you know you have one dude on one side and the other dude on the other side, and you have that entrance like into the building, and I'm not talking about the ramp, you actually can't hit the people on the other side unless they're right at the door entrance. So this is probably the only autocannon that I can think of that actually can't reach that far. I think even the Jewel can reach that far. It's just a little inaccurate. Now this thing also, it shoots decently fast. It's not as fast as the Jewel, but it definitely feels like it has the spread of the Jewel. This thing is just like Bloom City, and if you're not firing close range for whatever reason, this thing just, it seems like it cannot hit. The accuracy is actually feels worse than what it is showing here. This thing is very inaccurate, especially if you're holding it down. Even if you try to burst or tap fire, you'll notice your rounds are just going in all kinds of directions, and it's almost like you can't fix this even with like Omni wheels with that 33% spread or anything. It's just really piss poor. It definitely shows that this weapon is supposed to be a close range autocannon, like maybe a little bit of medium range, but you're gonna have to tap it a little bit if you really want to get those shots in. It's pretty piss poor. And even contributing to that, you know, close range autocannon is definitely the perk here, to where if there is 2 or more vehicles within that 65 meter radius, you'll get 30% more damage, which it is very welcomed, because let's be honest, this weapon, it hits decently hard at like 7 or lower, but if you're not at that point, it does feel a little weak when you're getting higher power score. Like, I was trying like bigger builds, like in that 10 plus, like 12 plus, and this thing, it just didn't feel like it had the survivability. These things are just popping off, and it didn't feel like I was really damaging the enemy all that much, and if I did get a kill, it was because the guy was on fire, because he was already getting his ass kicked by my teammates. So high power score, this is one of those epic weapons that I do not recommend unless you just want to have a challenge and have something for fun. Then maybe this is the one for you. But if you're actually trying to get in there and get a little bit competitive, high power score, this autocannon just, it's underwhelming. It just doesn't feel good, at least in my opinion. And I've been trying to play with this thing for like 2 days, and I just was not having a good time at higher power score. It took me a little while to actually pick out which game I thought I should show at the high power score. Now, saying that, I think the overtime, the heating, it does feel like it can shoot decently before it overheats, and I just think that's because the fire rate, even though it shows this much fire rate, it doesn't really feel like it's, you know, super fast. It's definitely slower than the Cyclone, and it's definitely slower than the what is it called, the Jewel, but it feels like it's just a little bit faster than the Whirlwind. Anyways, that's going to be it. I got a little test build right here just so you can check it out. So you can see it for something that shoots fast, it has like a decent like time to overheat, but you'll see it's like that cooling down, especially if you have like a radiator, that thing, it's really slow. Like, it's god-awful slow. And this is going to be the non-upgraded version. This is the default version. So this is going to be 50, full auto. And you can see that bloom is going up. It's actually missing pretty bad at 50 if you hold it down. And there you go, that burst fire. Now let's try that at the 100 range, and I'm going to stop at the 150 over there. So this is full auto. Like, look how far left that thing shot. That's just terrible. Even the tap fire, you can see these rounds are kind of all over the place. And then the 150. Yeah, it's like not even no contest. And now the tap fire. Yeah, so actually, you know, single shotting it, reducing that fire rate is probably going to be your best bet at actually hitting something. Yeah, okay, so you can see there, it actually cannot hit the bus at that 300 meters. Which is, like I'm saying, it's an autocannon that actually cannot reach all the way across the map. So, let's check out our builds that we're going to be looking at today. This time in order is going to be from left to right. Our first build is going to be New Blueprint by XVX Raziel, or whatever the fuck. This build, it moves decently. You know, it's on a favorite cabin, so when you build that up and you can keep firing, which will definitely help it. So damage wise at this power score, you know, is decent. It'll do a decent amount. And then that favorite cabin definitely really helps. So you can actually do a decent amount of damage at that close range. However, playing at this power score, yes, this thing can damage them and whatnot, but if you're gonna play with your weapons that close up like that, it's not very good. Because if you take one cannon shot, you lose 2 guns. If you like take any machine gun fire, it's just going straight to your guns. Like, this thing is just, I personally do not like it, just because the way he designed it with the guns in the front. Even if you like do a ram every now and then, you're just taking damage to your guns. Like, it's so easy to lose those 2 front guns that I would not recommend this build. I would say, yes, this is a good power score. This is a good power score to play it as, especially with 3 of them. You'll be doing a lot of damage. However, this setup, you're probably going to have to be sitting in the back behind your teammates and letting them soak up the damage, because if you start taking some damage to the front, yes, the train plow will help it last a little bit, but these things will pop off rather quick even at that power score. So the next one is going to be 7199, which is just basically, I guess, what he's trying to do for the power score, by Cyclone 1985. I have no idea if I said that right. This one's a little bit better than the other one. However, the biggest drawback for me is basically the way he has it set up in the front. So yes, you can see you can build all the way up there and the thing will turn and everything, but the way he has the bumpers and everything in the front, that, you see that reticle up there? This thing can't aim all the way down. So say if you're on a slope or anything, it's like you have to like really struggle to get up there. Or even if it's like you're aiming downwards and you're on like sector 8 and you go up the ramp, you actually might have a hard time actually hitting the enemies just because of that. Does it move alright? Yeah, as long as, you know, you're just going up to them and actually fighting. It did alright. It can take a few hits. It takes better hits than the other one. The main gun that actually pops out is still the front one, but it's way better armored, so you don't really have to worry about it. So as long as you're not like on some type of hill or anything, this build shines pretty well. And it has the hugging cabin, or whatever the hell it's called, I'm pretty sure it's hugging, that'll actually make it so when these things overheat, it's a lot better. And it's pretty decently durable at that 2K, so this one's definitely better than the first one. And since it is lower power score, you know, having that all 3 damage, the same comparable as this one is going to be performing a little bit better. So next up, we got the Whirl Combo 12K by AK-230. This build looks solid. I'm pretty sure I saw a J-Rider using this build, except I think his had the Hermit wheels, and this one has the Omni wheels. So, you know, Omni wheels feel great and everything, but they don't really feel too great on this build because it's like this one doesn't really have a whole lot of acceleration. It's using the Hermit cabin, so there is times where it's like you think you can go forward and it's just like accelerating super slow, so you're gonna have a tough time getting out of those situations, which I guess having the Hermit cabin, so that way you're getting that damage reduction and whatnot, is definitely going to come into play. That 3k health is definitely very beneficial at that 12k power score. And, you know, you got them staggered, so, you know, they can keep on shooting and everything. So, you know, it even has a little shield. So, you know, in all, it's like, you know, a lot of positives and whatnot, but I'm going to level with you guys. Like, this build, as slick as it looks and everything, and, you know, it can drive well and everything. It's just it has a little bit of a hard time getting out of situations because it's slow. The Hermit cabin gives it that durability and everything, but the weapon doesn't feel good at 12k. It feels like they nerfed the hell out of this weapon at that power score. It feels like I'm hardly doing any damage. I did try to pick out a decent game to show these off in, but they were just getting stripped left and right. As soon as I started shooting somebody, anybody with a machine gun or anything from like almost any range is just peeling these things off just super quick. And even if I'm like behind the enemy lines and I'm just shooting them, if I don't like aim at modules or whatever, it just feels like I'm just slowly like tickling their armor, and you just occasionally see pieces and whatnot come off, and it was just painful. And you know, when you're playing at those higher power scores and there's a lot of like long range like snipers and whatnot, or you know, dogs and whatever, you know, a fire dog really tears up an Ermac because, you know, it's a slow build and whatnot. Yeah, the Ermac has a bit more survivability and whatnot, but if he's like under you, if anything is like beside you on this build, you just can't shoot them. They're just too close, so the guns can't actually have that elevation to shoot down. So this build is pretty and whatnot, but I don't recommend it. It was just so bad trying to play a 12k with these weapons. This one did alright. This one is the Whirl You Away by B1 Battle Droid. This one actually did pretty decently. The biggest drawback of this one is that it has those 2 legs in the front, so you know, you're not getting that full speed that the new legs can do. So it does kind of suck on that front. You know, it feels a little slow because of that. But it's alright, you know, it's decent. Those legs have a bit more armor, so they're kind of like little leg shields. This one is a lower power score than the other one, so you know, it did a little bit better at that more like 9k builds. You know, still did pretty decently. Anything higher than that, like, you know, like I said, it really struggles. Even at 10k, like if you're starting to fight like super shotguns and whatnot, this thing is gonna get tore up. But it does have, you know, that 3k health. You can rotate and everything around. It has the Ermac right in the front, which is good because you really don't want these weapons getting hit, because, you know, even though they have almost 5k health, they're not really that durable. But honestly, the biggest drawback with this build is if somebody is like on you, or if they're like just like right here, you can see, like, you see the guns, how they're just like blacking out and whatnot. Like, even right there, see, there's a blind spot. There's just you'll find yourself in that blind spot more than you would like. So you kind of want to keep your distance a little bit, and it actually, you know, it does fairly well. You can kind of see. Alright guys, so lastly I just want to show off some points that I forgot to mention, and basically how the perk works. So you can see I'm not within perks, seeing the little build there and my Leviathan. But before I get into that range, I'm going to show you the damage. You can see it's about 24 per bullet from this range. So now if we move up just a little bit, now we're in that perk. With that 30%, we are doing about 31, which is going to be 7 points extra damage, which is always nice to have. Now you can see that distance, that's 65 meters. that's actually rather forgiving. In the most combat situations where, you know, everybody's gonna, if they're playing as a team, they're gonna be grouped up together, or, you know, if they jump in there and you got someone shooting someone suicidal, and you know, you're always gonna have that dude that's gonna try to ram, get in there, like shotguns, flamethrowers. You're most likely always gonna have your perk. And just in case you don't realize you have your perk, if you look underneath the L1, you can see you have that little red ring indicating that you have the perk active. And this one does have a visual right there, that little red light indicating, you can see that on enemy players and they can see it on you, basically saying that you have your 30% more damage with this weapon. Now, I'm going to show you some other drawbacks that I forgot about this weapon, and this one just feels like, to me, the damage drop off, if you look, so it was 31, but now it went up to 26. You see that? Basically, it feels like this one, the damage drop off is obviously apparent. It feels like it's definitely trying to tell you that it is a more close range autocannon, because that damage drop off and the accuracy is basically saying, yeah, you kind of want to run up in there, otherwise you're not going to be doing as much damage and you're going to be missing a hell of a lot of shots. So this weapon is definitely going to be a little bit hard at those farther range to actually strips, but as long as you're keeping within that 50 meters or lower, it's not too bad to actually strip off weapons. Now we're going to get into the last two drawbacks of this weapon that I noticed, and I was basically showing it to you while I was showing the light. That turn speed is pretty ass, and it was definitely apparent, and I was noticing it a hell of a lot when I was playing at the 12k power score, when they had those really fast builds and they come and hit you right in the side. You're probably going to be taking a lot of machine gun rounds before this thing actually gets to them, so you want to keep that in mind. And even if they are, so say you got like a taller build and whatnot, this weapon doesn't have great gun depression compared to other autocannons and such. Now you can see I can't exactly shoot right next to me. There is a dead zone, and you know, since this is like a tower autocannon, and you're probably going to build it up a little bit and put the armor around it and whatnot, it's going to be kind of a pain in the ass to use this when they're right up next to you. And that was something else that I was kind of struggling to hit somebody if they ran up onto that big red vehicle that you will see in the playlist. Anyways, that's going to be the last drawbacks of this weapon. So, hey guys, I'm just going to say, if you enjoy this video and you find like this informative, because I am trying to keep this as detailed as possible, so that way if you or somebody else, like maybe even a new player, is like, hey, that weapon looks kind of cool, maybe I should, you know, YouTube it and whatnot, I'm gonna try to give as much information and my point of view while also showing the builds, so that way you can basically use another person's perspective. So hopefully, if you are a new player and you see this, I hope that this helps and gives you some pointers with any of the epic weapons that I've shown thus far. So, if you enjoyed this, please consider leaving a like and subscribe, and I hope you find your favorite spot on the ceiling with your little bag of popcorn, and I hope you enjoy your video today. You guys have a great night. See you next time, Bat Colony. No bodies. What are we doing? I gotta watch to see where my team goes. I don't want them to go in one direction and then all of a sudden they're in the other direction. Gotta watch fresh poops over here. Well, okay. Alright, keeping with the team. That guy over there is definitely going to die. There's a teammate in there? Of course there is. hit by those fucking cannons, bro. I'm tearing my shits off. Okay. Alright. That wasn't bad. That cannon dude would have hit me, would have taken off these two guns. Yo, this is stupid. Like, honestly, this is retarded. Don't do this, man. Having the guns in the front, as soon as you take one cannon, both of them pop right off, man. It's terrible. This isn't going to be a good build to go up there. He has that ship blocked off. You can't really, like, you can't really aim down that well. Or at least you're, like, missing a gun. See one shooting up there. Got one behind us. God damn, dude, I'm trying to fucking turn and this bitch don't want to turn. This motherfucker is like focused on my ass. Holy shit. Oh, no, well, okay. You know what? I'll take all those kills, man. All of them. I don't know how I got all those, but I'll take it. All of them. Okay, I thought they were going to come up here and try to do some shit. I'm going to join him to take out David. I actually didn't mean to steal his kill, I just wanted to get David out of here. Okay. Excuse me. Okay, you get that one. Since I stole your kill. The last dude ran up there, in the rafters. There he is. Fuck you. Yeah. Shove that tuss thing up your fucking ass! God. This is just painful. Jesus Christ. Okay, there's one. Where the hell are the others? Player bot. Seriously, who is this? This is gonna be a game of killing bots, huh? Okay, another bot dead. God, this thing is terrible at going up a hill. Oh my God. Most games aren't going to go like that. I can just say that much. spawn me next to enemies. They usually do. I'm somehow always like away from the team. Come on, dang it. The rest of my guns? Well, that works. I thought I was gonna get ambushed by more enemies than that. The engine on this thing just sounds like it's chugging, bro. This thing sounds like it's struggling. Why did I stop shooting? Why couldn't I shoot no more? Like, I get they're all on the sides, but was the cabin really blocking every single weapon? You got the aim. I'll give you that. I can't aim so. Why did he just like start ignoring me? Lost, but thanks. We lost, but this thing has some quality.